Hello again, and just for the benefit of those who may have watched this for the first time, we've asked various mayors of our region to come in and answer some questions that have been put to us via email from listeners of Wave FM. And our Lord Mayor from Wollongong Council, Gordon Bradbury, very kindly agreed to come in and answer some of those questions this morning. And the questions are basically, Gordon, as we receive them. I've only edited them lightly, just for the sake of expediency.
Yes.
So, first question, when is the bunting going to be removed from Windang foreshore?
Well, that bunting is an issue that I've yet to sort in terms of who's responsible, whether it's the Lake Illawarra Authority or the council, but I'm looking into it and investigating that. But it also ties in with other developments out there as far as the parade, Tabuli Parade master plan, and I understand there's some concerns about footpaths and so on. Well, the issue there is that we're hoping to have that completed by the end of the year, November of this year. But there's also a building that needs to be demolished, and that is underway. So there is a lot of activity planned for that extension of that foot or walkway, cycleway.
I've seen that demolition there. It's almost completed.
Yes.
Another question along the same line, seems to take so long to get anything done or any money spent in Windang. Would it be fair to say that that area is low on the council's priority list?
Well, to the contrary, actually, last council meeting we looked at the issues of this particular area, and more specifically Windang, Berkeley and the southern suburbs. And it has, we've fought for it and turned it around as to be a high priority. From my perspective, it certainly needs attention because that's the southern gateway into the Wollongong, and as far as I'm concerned, needs to be some money spent on it and things brought up to the standard which we expect from an entry point into our city. Let me also say that as far as the council is concerned, this next 5-year budget is devoted, we're devoting about 337 million to infrastructure spending, concentrating on roads, cycleways, those sorts of things, points of connectivity, and so Windang will get its fair share.
Excellent, mate. We'll go on to the next question. Can we get a footpath or bike path on the western side of Oaklands Avenue from the school to meet up with the one at Judbuli Parade? Parents struggle with prams and children on the uneven and wet ground.
Yes. I fully sympathise with this, and it does concern me that some of these heavily used walkways, cycleways and so on are not up to scratch, and that's why that 337 million has been allocated for these particular projects, and hopefully that will be given a lot of attention.
And a big city and a lot of work to be done.
Well, you need to remember that this city starts at Helensburgh and finishes at Yala, basically, and that's about 42 kilometres of coastline. So it's a long strip, and there's a lot of walkways and a lot of roads involved.
And too little money. And
too little money, the constant story. But that's the job of the council, is to see how we carve up that pie. How do we prioritise those needs and so on. So, yeah, we're across that one.
Next question. This was written, Dear Lord Mayor, Stanwell Park has the most awful roads in Wollongong, even before the heavy rain. Drive is full of holes. It's just about a single lane all round. Plants growing on the side take up half the road. There's a creek just up from the tennis court, and the road is slipping as well with no safety barriers. Please, could someone look at this for us? So we've gone from Windang right up to the other end of town, and exactly. A similar problem.
Yep, and this highlights the issue of the neglect of our assets. Again, our high priority is to put money into this, and more specifically to deal with some of these issues of connectivity, as we call it, the roads, cycleways and so on. But I know Stanwell Park, I've been up there quite a few times, looked at the problems and the concerns, and it's certainly on the council agenda as far as works are concerned. But at the same time, let me just say, it is how we carve up that pie.
Exactly. What's the best way for residents with these sort of complaints to approach council?
Well, either go online, but also if you want to ring directly, it's 4227 7111. So I'll repeat that, 4227 7111, and they can log in their concerns or complaints or whatever.
Well done. I don't think I remember the Wave FM phone number, so good on you. Does Wollongong Council benefit from this new mining tax? We have mines here. They pay tax. It goes to Canberra. Does the area where the mines are based, get anything back?
Well, except for rates on certain properties, you've got to remember that all mining activities controlled by the state. They are state assets and controlled by the state government. But then, of course, there's the mining tax, which the federal government is introducing in July. We're hoping that there might be an income stream coming back to us, but directly, no. It goes to the state or the federal government.
Something worth pursuing by the council?
Oh, well, we're always at the begging. We're like a mob of beggars. We're always at the table or at the feet of the state and federal pollies with our bowl, asking for extra funds to get across the demands and expectations of ratepayers.
All right, another question. Is there any chance of getting a skate park in Berkeley? Would keep the kids out of the car parks, off the streets. Nearest one that I know of is Horsley. My children are only 6, 5 and 2, and I don't want them thinking that the streets are where to go for fun. Have had this conversation with many mums at the school. We all agree, and that was from Anissa. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, Anissa, I really sympathise with you in that one, and for myself and one other councillor, Councillor Vicky Curran, we're keen to see that happen in Berkeley. But at the present time, it is one of those things that's on the plans. It's a high priority as far as I'm concerned, and as a resident of Berkeley, I really understand where you're coming from with the needs for our kids. It is on my agenda, and I know a couple of other councillors are keen to see it happen as well.
So Anissa and the friends keep lobbying.
Keep lobbying.
Yeah.
Yep. Look at this game. It's the as the old proverb goes, the squeaky hinge gets the oil.
That's right. Very true. Our next question, Lord Mayor, why, when sun safety is so important, is there no sunshade over the kids' playground in Belmore Basin? Not only is it important for the shade from the sun, but the slides heat up as well, to the point where this particular lady's daughter burned her hands and feet on it, and it wasn't even a particularly hot day. So sunshades over Belmore Basin, thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, it's a big issue for us. As I said, we went back and checked how many playgrounds we actually have in our municipality. There's 155. So putting shade cloth over every one of them is going to be difficult. But the Belmore Basin playground is fairly well serviced and up to standard in terms of the equipment. But there are many that are under-serviced, and the standard of the playground equipment is not all that good. So it's a case of managing the budget for these particular things. And I do sympathise, but I do warn also parents, it's up to us to make sure that the kids don't burn their backsides or hands on the slippery tips, so we could check in advance as they use that. Look, I would like to have that pot of gold to do all these things. I'd like shade cloth, and sun safety is extremely important. I wish we had the resources, but I have to say, and I've got to be quite upfront with the people of this city, and this doesn't go just for us, right across the state. Funding and carving up the pie is so hard at times, and sorting priorities. And I do sympathise in this respect, but at the same time, we've got other playgrounds that we need just to bring up to basic standards, and more specifically, lessen risks for children and those who use those facilities.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Some questions to you without notice.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Harry Graham Drive, close to reopening?
At this stage, we're looking at the cost of reopening it. It is that we applied for a disaster. We got a permission to proceed under disaster relief funding after the flood or the inundations, I was going to say, or the rain event that we had that actually forced the closure. And we're hoping that we might be able to apply for funding to reopen it and do the roadworks. But let me also say, it's going to cost us millions. It's not a cheap, easy fix. And we're looking at options, but also we have to convince the state government to give us the money for those upgrades and those improvements. We've spent millions on that particular road over the years, and it's just becoming a black hole that's absorbing so much. Now the future and the opening of it,
Still up in the air.
It's a question mark. Yeah,
Question mark.
Not so much that it won't be open, but how we'll manage it and when and how.
Right, another question: the removal of the love locks at Mount Kira Lookout.
Right.
Given the popularity of these locks all around the world, are you concerned that this might go viral on the web and once again show Wollongong in a bad light?
Well, Wollongong needs to... let me just go back. I've said to the council officers and through the general manager that I think we should have handled this a bit better, in as much that we let the community know that this was going to happen. Secondly, and this is something that people need to realise, that they're public assets and we have to look after them. Those locks, as they on metal, when they get wet, create a corrosive reaction that means that it lessens the life of those railings, and they're relatively new up there. Now, what we'll look at is the possibility of creating some opportunity for people to continue to do that in one way or another. But I do have to explain that it is the protection of assets was the reason behind it. I think it could have been handled a lot better and letting people know it was going to happen in advance. But also, let me add, when people fix those locks to the railings up there, they throw the keys away, so there's no way of retrieving it anyway. So it's one of those things that I think we should have handled a bit better, because I realise the sentimental attachment and the passion that's behind those things. These are symbols of people's eternal love and affection for each other. I just hope that all those locks do represent marriages and relationships that are still continuing today. But let me emphasise that I really do ask people who, if they had a lock at Mount Kira, to make contact with the council and go and retrieve them. They have been removed. They're over at the Botanical Gardens, and you'll have to make contact with them over there. You can go and get your lock back and perhaps put it in a safe place or a locality where, it will still be meaningful what was the original act and the original intent.
So the lock has not been lost, you can go get it?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Yep. And I'm going to make sure that what aren't retrieved are placed in a place or a locality where perhaps they can be respected for what they stand for.
Excellent. Well,
that's my aim or hope.
Let's see how it pans out. Yeah. There's talk of putting Wollongong's paid lifeguards in the same sky blue shirts as their Bondi counterparts. Mm-hmm. You think that has merit?
Well, I don't care what colour outfit they're in, as long as you can find them, and that's the point of the exercise, that they're clearly identified in their role, and uniforms are important for that function. But at the same time, it's up to those guys to define that situation. APOLA, the Australian Professional Ocean Lifeguards Group, they perhaps need to run that agenda. But the point of the uniform is to identify and also to make sure that they've got protective clothing from the sun. So how that with the council can be managed, I don't think the community worries all that much, whether they're blue or red and yellow or whatever it is that they wear, because our guys and those who patrol our beaches, we've got 17 beaches. We, at the peak of the season, employ over 70-odd lifeguards, so it's a big part of our budget. And as far as the colour of the outfit is concerned, it's not so much. I'm not so much worried about that, but the delivery of service and the professionalism. And let me just say, we've got some of the best lifeguards. As a matter of fact, Wollongong has the largest lifeguard services as a municipality in New South Wales, and the third largest in the country in terms of our patrols and the amount of expenditure we put in these things. The other two are, of course, the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Mm-hmm. So we're part of a big beach surf culture down here, and the professional lifeguards are part of that.
I understood the idea, and I don't want to dwell on it too much, but the idea of the blue shirts was because of the international recognition that Bondi surf lifesavers have through their television program.
Bondi Rescue is certainly a hit.
And I just thought maybe a tourist, it might be a tourist gain for Wollongong.
Yes, it could be, and we could look at that. I have no difficulties with it. But as I said, I think it's important to talk to the lifeguards. These are the guys that define the situation. If they want to go down that path, I don't see there any difficulties with it personally. But I'd like to see what they have to say. And if they want to plug into the kudos that has come through the Bondi Rescue series and so on, why not?
Well, Lord Mayor, thank you for coming in.
No problems.
Good on you, mate. And if you have any questions for any of the mayors in our region, please log on to wavefm.com.au and let us know.